First, the FBI director warned about quote-unquote homegrown violent extremists just last month. And today, we got to look at what he's talking about. The Department of Justice announcing the arrest of 18-year-old Scott Mercurio from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Now, the FBI said it had been tracking the 18-year-old for more than a year and arrested him just days before he vowed to kill across his hometown in the name of ISIS. The Department of Justice says he was planning to go from church to church in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, quote, rinse and repeat for all 21-plus churches in the town before everyone is killed. Amisha, we heard the FBI director, you just heard Christopher Wray from last month warn about these sorts of possibilities. We got to listen to Christopher Wray on this stuff, I think.
We do, and it's something that he's been warning on for a while now. The radicalization of young people in this country, particularly drawn across social media, isn't necessarily something new. I recall 2016, 2017, University of Mississippi freshman students who actually were actively recruited by ISIS and were joining as well. And there was a criminal conviction for at least one of those for plots to kill Americans. I think that this is something we should pay a lot of attention to, also something that has been on the rise for quite a few years now, particularly across social media.
Mm-hmm. I tend to think more, I mean, first of all, good for the FBI for identifying this person. But I think one of the immediate threats that we're facing as well that's not getting a ton of attention from the Biden administration is the number of people on the terrorist watch list coming across the border. I think that I read a statistic about 2,500% increase in the Biden administration of people on the terrorist watch list coming across the border that we know of.
So not to minimize that, because that's obviously an issue, but this is an American from Idaho, an 18-year-old, a teenager, though.
Absolutely. And look, we should treat anybody who's a threat, absolutely they should be treated. But I would like to see the same focus from the administration on this issue of the homegrown, as we know people are coming across the border illegally, and this administration has been a failure.
Kurt, I'll end with you in a second, but is that where you are on this?
Certainly. And the other concern that we have is that the FBI does have limited resources. We know that it's been concentrating on some groups that perhaps presumably probably do pose far less threat to the national integrity or our general safety than ISIS does. So I think the FBI should focus its efforts on those who literally are wishing death to America.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she was right when talking about the awesome impact that social media has had in the ability to reach out and radicalize all kinds of groups of people. I mean, we are living in a much more extreme society today than we were 10, 15, 20 years ago. Social media and the way that it's able to directly impact and touch every single person, and especially younger people. You go to any place in America, and all you see are kids, teenagers looking at a screen.
All right, come on in. Tracy Walder, NewsNation national security contributor, also former FBI special agent, former CIA officer as well. Tracy, nice to see you as always. So when, obviously we heard Christopher Wray last month basically give the warning. Today, when you heard about this, read about it, saw it, you thought, as a former FBI special agent, what?
Well, thank you for having me, Blake. Look, I've worked counterterrorism since before 9/11, really. And to be honest with you, this is not surprising to me. Someone asked me how frequently this happens. All day, every day, people are radicalized online. And I think what Amisha was saying before about the fact that Wray has actually warned about this before, and quite frankly, ISIS has told us exactly what they were going to do since January. And they put out another statement in May specifically stating for Lone Rangers to attack churches, and Christians and Jews was really who they were going after. So this isn't surprising.
So you talk about, Lone Rangers, right? The FBI came across this guy because they say he was involved in financial transactions, and then, whoa, okay, all of a sudden, you got to follow this one, and that's how they figured out what he was up to. Story that I just read a couple weeks ago, Tracy, target number one for ISIS-K. Different subset, but nonetheless ISIS. Terror group that hit Moscow nightclub has sights set on U.S., but the article talked about, it said, quote, they clearly would like to strike the homeland, but their challenge is penetrating our security, which has proven to be quite resilient in recent years. Is that where you are with this, that ISIS has desires, but at this point they can't necessarily break through, thankfully, here at home?
Yeah, so ISIS absolutely has desires to penetrate us here in the United States. And to be honest with you, I believe that they found a platform or a training ground really in the political instability that is Afghanistan right now. That is where their kind of launch pad is. But they are using that internet, really looking at that 18 to 25-year-old crowd. That's really who they are radicalizing. Right. And they have expressed interest in this before. Look, they're having trouble getting into our infrastructure, and that is a great thing. I have no issues with that. But I think the problem is lone wolves. It's almost like playing terrorist whack-a-mole. It's extremely difficult to target lone wolves because they're not communicating with each other. And that's how we usually catch them.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.